All right, we are back. We are going to continue talking through some updates you need to know that have occurred over the last month or so, preseason training camp, etc. I'll get into my second takeaway here, Scott, and I'll stay in the AFC West. Chargers skill position players, we got to shake up on this one. Number one is the running back situation. I know that people who are just tuning back in now might have remembered, hey, they signed Najee Harris in free agency. They also drafted Omarion Hampton. Maybe this is like a committee split backfield. I guess, Scott, we don't really know what that backfield is going to look like. We truly have no clue. That being said, Najee Harris has moved back to the active roster. He's eligible to play in week 1. His Yahoo ADP has fallen all the way to 130 overall. Omarion Hampton, meanwhile, the rookie running back, 33rd overall in the ADP. He has clearly been getting a lot of steam during this training camp process. Now that we know that Najee Harris is back, are you buying Omarion Hampton as the 33rd overall pick?
I'm still fine with it. And I realize they lost their best offensive lineman, Rashawn Slater. You hate to see that, but I trust Jim Harbaugh to build a running game. I trust Greg Roman to build a running game. And I also trust my eyes and my instincts that Harris is just a guy and he lost so much time getting, and granted, running back is a much easier onboard than some other positions, but I'm not going to let the presence of Harris get in my way. Hampton is a great 4th round pick, but he's very considerable. We talk about the 3rd round is where the warts kind of come out. And if anybody in the 3rd round, if they didn't have those warts, they'd be 1st round picks. They'd be 2nd round picks. But yeah, I found myself placing a few chips on Hampton. I feel pretty good about that. And even if Harris, I think it may even be a case there, maybe 5-6 weeks. And I know I talk about winning September and I'm still going to stand by that. But I think Harris might be a case where eventually once Hampton gets up to speed, he just shoves Harris out of the way, and playoff winner Omarion Hampton, Thanksgiving monster Omarion Hampton, stuff like that. We like to think of rookies gaining speed a lot of times once they get their feet wet in the league. The bottom line is he's a proactive pick for me, and already somebody who's a common part of my fantasy portfolio.
Yeah, I'm in line with ADP here. I have him ranked 33rd overall, 33rd overall. Kind of a toss-up between him and Jalen Hurts for me if I'm starting to think about quarterbacks in that area. He's a good he's a good player. He's a good fit in this system that wants to run downhill. Now there are some people out there that question if he's a true gap runner, if he can be a high volume gap runner, and that's kind of what they want to do. But I think this offense is smart enough to fit the run scheme around Omarion Hampton. And I guess I kind of question, Scott, when Najee Harris or when Omarion Hampton was originally drafted, my analysis was, Najee Harris is going to get the veteran deference, and Omarion Hampton is going to have to he's going to be that slow developing Polaroid, to use your phrase. But you can put up with some veteran deference early and you can reap the benefits later. Now, I don't know, after Najee Harris missed quite literally all of training camp with an eye injury after the fireworks incident, I don't know that we're going to get that veteran deference, right? Najee Harris has not been a part of this team, and Omarion Hampton has. They might use some level of a little committee or something at first, but what's to say that at this point, Harris, who's on a 1-year deal, has no ties to this coaching staff and has not been active in training camp because of a fireworks injury? Who's to say that it's not just 70% Omarion Hampton, 30% Najee Harris right from the get-go, and that would be more than enough for him to be a running back 1 on your fantasy team.
Right. And I think we saw enough of a receiver from Hampton in college, right, at North Carolina, that he's not incapable of catching the ball, but he's not a special receiver. Obviously, Harris is a thicker of build running back, so you worry about who's going to be the goal line guy. Justin Herbert isn't going to take those goal line scores away. But, Hampton, bottom line, right, it's not always what teams say, it's what they do. They took Omarion Hampton in the 1st round. I can't imagine they would do that and not line up a really made. It didn't. I think they may have moved up in the 1st round to take him. So I can't imagine they would prioritize somebody like that at a time when the NFL is moving away from that and not have a meaty 1st-year role in mind.
I just want to touch on the receiver core quickly on this team. I'm glad you mentioned the Rashawn Slater injury because I think that does have to dock your projections for this offense overall. I'm not sure enough for me to full fade everybody or anything, but maybe you bump them down within the tier or something like that. But the receiver room is definitely different now than we expected, because going into camp, it's like, well, Trey Harris is going to battle it out with Mike Williams at X receiver. Quentin Johnston maybe moves to flanker. Keandre Lambert-Smith, sleeper to keep an eye on. Well, Mike Williams retires. Trey Harris, it seems like he's been working mostly at flanker, and Keandre Lambert-Smith has been the backup to Quentin Johnston at X receiver. And then meanwhile, Keenan Allen returns to the team. I'm curious what you think about Keenan Allen, man, because I feel like we haven't talked enough about it on the show. Does Keenan Allen impact Ladd McConkey? And right now, is Keenan Allen somebody you're even willing to draft in the late rounds? I'll tell you, Scott, I'm conflicted on the Ladd McConkey part of this question, but I do think Keenan Allen's the guy that, if I'm taking wide receiver 50, I actually don't mind taking Keenan Allen as a depth piece there.
Yeah, the thing about Keenan Allen is he's a single, right? He can't be a home run. I'm not even sure he can be a double anymore. Age 33 season. Even at his peak, he was never a speed guy. He was always a spacing guy and a timing guy. I mean, he's going to catch probably 70 balls. It might be for 683 yards, right? 5 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns. Maybe there's a little bit more upside if things play well. My takeaway here is, if you loved Ladd McConkey as I did before this signing, don't let it spook you. McConkey can play, and again, you can speak to this better than anybody. McConkey can win outside. He doesn't have to be in the slot. And they had him producing at a 1,600-yard pace in the second half of last season. And then he had, 197 and a touchdown, I want to say, off the top of my head, against Houston, the playoff loss, just under 200 yards. He was arguably the best player on the field that day. So I feel like that's something, another genie out of the bottle, where even if this is a team that wants to run the ball and dominate the line of scrimmage as much as they can do that without Slater, that McConkey's still 140 targets, around 100 catches. I think he can get into double-digit touchdowns. And, we don't talk about Justin Herbert that much anymore. I mean, he used to be like, sleeper MVP candidate, Justin Herbert. He's just another good quarterback now. But let's not lose fact of the site that he's a plus quarterback, right? I mean, maybe he's not Lamar Jackson. Maybe he's not Josh Allen. Maybe he's not Jaden Daniels, but he's still one of the top 10 right answers at this position. And who knows? I mean, MVP a lot of times becomes about team narrative. If this is the year the Chiefs fall and maybe the Chargers steal the division, maybe Herbert would get back into that mix. But the bottom line is, Ladd McConkey, I think you're getting probably a slight discount or a buying up. He would have been a no doubt second round pick in every league. Now he might slip to the third round. To me, that's a buying opportunity.
So I read a piece for the site every year. It's like looking at the players in my top 2 wide receiver tiers. So for this year, it's 1 to 11, and just looking at the 3 pillars that I think a player needs to hit to be the wide receiver 1 overall in a given season. It's a dominant target share of his own offense, efficient quarterback / offense, and then number 3, be verifiably great at football. Ladd McConkey is my wide receiver 11. I've kept him in the bottom of that second tier, and mostly the reason is that, number 1, he definitely plays with an efficient quarterback. You mentioned it, that like there's kind of always this debate about Justin Herbert, weirdly, and like in media and stuff, but a new offense really unlocked like a different version of Justin Herbert last year. He was 4th in adjusted yards per attempt last season, behind the 2 MVP contenders and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Jared Goff, who like everybody agrees is one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the NFL. So great year for Herbert. Obviously, Ladd McConkey, verifiably great at football, and the real reason I kept him in that tier 2, despite the Keenan Allen addition, 80 and all the rookies and stuff like that, like maybe some more target competition than what we saw from last year. QJ still hanging around. He had an 84.4% success rate versus press coverage and reception perception, which has only been bested by, among rookie wide receivers, by Odell Beckham in 2014. So great against press coverage. He put it in the box score, 7th among all receivers with 250 plus routes in yards per out run versus man coverage. The thing that I think he does not check the box is the dominant target share of his offense. Even after he broke out in his post-bye rookie bump, he only had a 21.9% target share. That ranked 19th among wideouts in that span. And now Keenan Allen in the mix, and like, I don't know, man, maybe I'm overthinking this, Scott, but I do think Keenan Allen, who has chemistry with Justin Herbert, who knows this play, who like knows what Herbert wants, all that stuff, that makes me just like a little bit nervous that Ladd McConkey will just hover around like 22 to 23% of the targets, which then if he's going to be like a wide receiver one, he would have to be outrageously efficient. I already said it. He was outrageously efficient last year, but do you think I'm overthinking it a little with a player that I absolutely love talent-wise?
Well, you look at the players going around McConkey and ADP, right? Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams is there. A.J. Brown. Devonta Smith is there. T. Higgins, obviously. Jamar Chase is there. Mike Evans. There's a lot of quality in that receiver room. Buka has been one of the big winners this summer. Eventually, they get Godwin back. I'm supposed to worry about Keenan Allen pushing me off Lad McConkey when all those other guys are playing with quality players? I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah, ultimately his ADP right now is 25th overall on Yahoo in the last 7 days. I still have him 20th overall, so I'm still ahead of ADP overall on Lad McConkey.
You're right.
But just that one little note. Let's go into your second takeaway here. The Commanders running back room, Scott. This is definitely something that's changed over the last month.
Yeah, you knew this would be an above the fold discussion point. Brian Robinson basically beat out and then given away in trade to San Francisco. And so what's left in this running back room? And they did that because they like who they have, right? Jacory Croskey-Merritt, 7th round pick. Another guy who bounced around in college, didn't play much last year, but can he be a featured guy? What's left with Austin Eckler? Somebody who you know well. You used to do a program with him, one of the smartest players in the league, a dynamite. He used to always say to you, hey, reception perception, you should be charting my routes. I'm a receiver out there, not just a running back. I think he has something left to give.
True.
And Jeremy McNichols, a big back who could be profiles. Not Jeremy McNichols, Chris Rodriguez, who actually on some depth charts is listed behind Jeremy McNichols, but I think Rodriguez for fantasy purposes is the third name to look at here, a bigger back who may be the goal line guy. So my takeaway has been that I think JCM, the helium on him, or Bill as he wants to go by, it's great that he's become a story, and we've seen 7th round picks pop before. Pacheco a couple of years ago was one of those guys. But I think he's a little bit over his skis now in ADP. Eckler's going to lead this backfield in receiving. I think Rodriguez might lead this team in rushing touchdowns. So my stance has been, I think JCM, depending on the sophistication of your league. I mean, if it's a more casual league where half the league might not even know who JCM is, okay, fine. But in the leagues where people are kind of trying to outsharp each other and trying to be like, oh, I'm more up on it than you are, I think JCM might go a round or two early, and I'd rather just take the value on Eckler or even the later value, speculative as it may be. He may be one of your first cuts on Chris Rodriguez.
This JCM stuff is Bill Croskey-Merritt. I like JCM better than Bill. Like we're just
Me too.
Let's talk about Bill, but whatever. Guys get to pick their own nicknames. I agree with you that I think people have gotten over their skis a little bit. I kind of like where we have him ranked consensus wise on Yahoo, 37th among the running backs. You have him 38. Boone's got him 31. I've got him at 41. So I'm definitely a little skeptical. I have Austin Eckler ranked at 39. So I've kind of I'm hedging there a little bit, but. Yeah, I don't know, man. People talking about I'm going to take Bill in the 7th round. I don't know about that, bro. That to me makes me pretty uncomfortable. And he's kind of getting into that meme zone on fantasy Twitter where BetMGM made a meme about him and the Taylor Swift engagement announcement. I was like, bro, we're memeing about Bill and he's a 7th round rookie who hasn't even played a game yet. That makes me not nervous that he's going to fail because of that, but he's going to get into that Kyle Pitts zone where people are talking about him so much they're getting way too overhyped. I know this is stupid stuff and I shouldn't be hung up on it, but it is what it is. Like I said, I'm just nervous that this is a full-blown committee where the running game is better than the sum of its part, or better. Yeah, it's better than the sum of its parts. And again, we're talking about this guy going in the 7th round. I don't think so. If you're taking him as the 37th running back off the board, love it. I think that can go really well for you. But he's probably not going to have passing down work. He might not have goal line work, and that's the reason we fade running backs usually in fantasy football.
I'm so glad you said that from my mind to your lips. I mean, is he the pass guy? Is he the reception guy? No. Is he the goal line guy? Probably not. And then there's a mobile quarterback here who just ran for over 800 yards, is going to run for a handful of touchdowns. And I realize player comps, people have different opinions on them. Some people like them. Some people laugh at them. Some people just have fun with them. But on Player Profiler, I was just curious what Jacory Croskey-Merritt, what his comp was. And sometimes their comps are pretty good. Sometimes their comps don't seem to make sense. They haven't compared to Travis Homer, who had moments, with Seattle. Every once in a while he'd have like a 5 for 42 game. And you'd be like, oh, maybe Travis Homer can play more. And then the next week he'd be on special teams. He'd have 1 carry. So let's hope that JCM becomes more than Travis Homer.